Welcome everyone to this particular webinar, which is on academic research and development in cybersecurity. The session will be on cybersecurity for academic institutions. Also, we will be focusing on the research methods, labs, curriculum. This is mainly for the universities, researchers, and academic that are looking to transition into cybersecurity, and also for the making of a Center for Excellence in Cybersecurity. We have with us an expert speaker Professor Boniface Alese. Welcome, sir. Professor.
Thank you very much, Sanjana.
Thank you so much, sir. Professor is the Professor of Information and Cybersecurity at the Federal University of Technology, Akure, Nigeria. He has been involved in a lot of research and capacity building effort, which is against cybercrime in Africa. He is one of the first person to devise a curriculum on cybersecurity in Nigeria. And he has more than 20 years experience in teaching, research, and community service, starting as a graduate assistant in 1998. So welcome and thank you for agreeing to do this particular interview and presentation on a very important topic that we will be discussing. And to the attendees, I would like to thank you for attending. And also, if you can just write your questions, anything that you have on the Q&A box. So we will address it after this particular session. So over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sanjana. It's good to be here this afternoon. I want to thank you very much for inviting me for this talk. We are here for academic research and development in cybersecurity. And just like you have said, cybersecurity is a very interesting field. So in this presentation this afternoon, after that, if there are questions, we take it up. Let me just see whether I can share my slide. I don't know whether you can see my slide.
Yes, we can see.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Academic research and development in cybersecurity. That's what we want to talk about. Cybersecurity is a field that, well, it's been around for some time, but it's not a very old discipline as other disciplines. And it takes its root, just like engineering. Everything takes its root from science. And when you talk of research, the first thing you are faced with is the idea of science, the science of it. Because at research level, postgraduate level, you talk of the science of a subject matter. So science has enabled us to understand our place in the universe, prevent and treat diseases, even create the internet like we are today. And yeah, it's different from engineering because engineering turns knowledge gained through science into usable applications and solutions, as we have seen. So science is very overloaded with a lot of context. But this afternoon, we are focusing on the research of cybersecurity, in which science has a lot to do there. And let me first of all take us through, there are about 5 or 6 major aspects or types of science. We have the physical science, which is driven by controlled experiment. We have the social science, which involves qualitative description of research. And we have the life sciences, which comes across with observational method, and in the physical science, we talk of physics, chemistry. In the social science, we talk of psychology, sociology, criminology. In life sciences, you talk of biology, you talk of ecology, and the rest. And you have mathematical science, which uses formalism, logic, mathematical construct, and it's a lot based on logic and mathematics. But of recent, data science has come into read. which is a computational field that uses algorithms to generate models. And you have issues like machine learning, artificial algorithm. The interesting thing about cybersecurity is that cybersecurity makes use of, if not all, at least 4 of these. When you talk of cybersecurity, you talk of an aspect of physical science, you talk of an aspect of social science, you talk of the foundation, which is mathematical science. And of recent, the issue of data science, machine learning, because when you talk of research in the field of cybersecurity, you talk of issues of machine learning, you talk of artificial intelligence and all the rest. And what is the connect between science and cybersecurity? Just like I mentioned, cybersecurity is a young field of research. And well, even digital computation itself have been around for about 100 years or less than 100 years. Networking computing has existed for about 50 years. And when you talk of cybersecurity now, the issue of cybersecurity began to come up in the 1980s and the 1990s. And coincidentally, yours sincerely was one of the, I mean, not to the earliest, but it was not long after it came on board, because just like it's been mentioned, I started my research career in cybersecurity as far back as 1998, and I've gone through research, produced some PhD students in Nigeria and elsewhere, even outside Nigeria. I've produced some PhD students, and I've been able to be part of the development in the field of cybersecurity. Over this period, there has been advancement and complexity in cyberspace, and and this has increased, and cybersecurity concerns have also increased along the line. So cybersecurity can be considered simply that the making of cyberspace to be safe. That is the totality, the summary of the definition of cybersecurity. We just want to make the cyberspace to be safe from danger, from damage or threat, because the truth of the matter is that a lot of activities, human daily existence now, a lot of human daily existence take place in the cyberspace. And if the cyberspace is not safe, then nothing is actually safe, from financial sector to military, to even day-to-day running of activities, to governance, to even education. You can see everything, even just like we are now. We are making use of the cyberspace for this training and this communication. So it goes to tell us that there are a lot of things involved in the cyberspace. Also, the set of concepts upon which definition agree or disagree: data, technology, and the people. These are the 3 things that are very important. When you talk of cybersecurity, you talk of the data, you talk of the technology, you talk of the people. So you begin to see the connect between them. And from the data perspective, per cyberspace is the method of transmitting, storage, relevant or whatever. The only thing that is that data is facing a lot of threat in the cyberspace. And when you talk of data, you talk of information, because information is processed data. And the use and a lot of things in the cybersecurity field makes use of all this. And how do we keep them safe? And these are some of the things that have brought up a lot of research in the field of cybersecurity and data. Then the technology also. The perspective view of centers on data communication reside in the cyber. So what is the method of transmitting it? What are the technologies involved? How are you going to secure the technologies? How secure are the technologies and all the rest? We also need to consider this. And you talk of the issue, there's one, we call it, which is our language this time around, the one we call the cybernetic perspective. We are still under science and cybersecurity. And the most recent perspective, which is the perspective we agree with, is the cyberspace includes the human in addition to data and technology, because even in the cybersecurity industry now, the greatest threat are the human, because because that's a connect. Like in any organization, when you ask what is the greatest threat, you say insider threat. And when you talk of insider threat, you are talking about people working in that cyberspace. So there is a human connect now. That's what brought the word like cybernetics. With an understanding in cybersecurity, you can now define cybersecurity. It is most simply definition, it is security of some relevant portion of the cyberspace. And cybersecurity includes technology, policies, and procedure to secure something within the cyberspace. And that cyberspace is made up of different fields. Cybersecurity rather. It started with computer and network security, from computer security to computer network security, from computer security, computer network security to information security, from information security to of cybersecurity. And when you look at it, when it was computer security, it was just limited to computer system. But when you talk of computer network security, it involved the connectivity, that is the network, the local area network, the this and the that. But thereafter, it moved to information security and cybersecurity, whereby issues like management, legal area, law, human management, risk management, and things are brought in that are not really core technology, that now we are moving to the managerial aspect, we are moving to economics, where economics are now being made use of, where issues of law are being brought in. So over the years, cybersecurity has evolved and it continues to evolve. And the first thing we need to know when you want to do research, when you talk of research in cybersecurity, is the first thing that, what are the attributes of cybersecurity? The first one, you talk of confidentiality. You want to be able, everybody wants to, confidentiality. What is not meant for somebody, you don't want that person to have access to it. I mean, right now, there are so many ways. We begin to talk about it there. That's when you begin to talk of issues of cryptography, you know, steganography. How do you, I want to communicate with Sanjana there. How do I make it that at the end of the day, somebody who is not authorized to have it is not having it? So all these are things that are, or things that we must know in the field of cybersecurity, and we must be conversant with. So the issue of cyber, these things, sorry, I'm just somebody, okay, we'll answer the questions later, sorry. Now, then the issue of integrity. You want to send something to somebody. Nowadays, transcripts are being sent online, documents are being sent. You want to make sure that documents being sent online have not been compromised. And the issue of availability is that when you are supposed to have access to a facility or information, nobody denies you that access. Then the issue of authenticity, you want to be sure that, oh, this thing is from the authentic source, not that somebody who is maybe a masquerade just sat down somewhere and conjured something in the name of another person. You want to talk of non-repudiation. Nowadays, you see cyberbullying, you see threat messages, you see actions taking place by the state actors and the non-state actors. You want to be sure that, oh, when an action takes place or when the message is sent, that nobody who is actually the originator has the opportunity of denying the authorship of that message. These are the attributes of cybersecurity. And when you look at it, you can see the fundamentals of cybersecurity. You talk of vulnerability, that is weakness in the system. You talk of exploit, an instance of technique designed to take advantage of the vulnerability. You talk of threat. You know, threat is the deliberate source of potential. You talk of the threat actors, a group of individual, organization, or a nation or government, either state or non-state actors. You talk of attack, an attempt by threats to gain unauthorized. And you talk of malware. Malware is the software that is from vulnerability. And well, in cybersecurity, we use a language that is, we say that threat leverage on vulnerability to attack. Threat leverage on vulnerability to attack. There must be vulnerability. There must be, when there is a threat, there must be vulnerability for an attack to be successful. All these are things that we know. And when you look at it, cybersecurity, you have different controls. You have the situation of the access control, different control mechanisms have been developed over the year. You have access control, situation awareness, cryptography, and all the rest that have been in existence. And cryptography, well, I love this area because that is my core area that I've worked for over the years. And cryptography is the study and application of mathematical construct and protocol to provide logical mechanism for securing data and communication from each software. And there are two forms, symmetric and asymmetric. When you talk of symmetric, it has another name. It's either you call it symmetric private key algorithm or secret key algorithm. When you talk of asymmetric, you talk of public key algorithm or asymmetric algorithm. And these, they are used in different scenarios. Some are used for commercial purposes. Some are used for in government or in military. And over the years, there have been different algorithms in the area of cryptography. And it's one area, though mathematical, but very interesting that everybody in the world makes use of. That's what gave birth to the issue of blockchain. That's what gave back to the issue of cryptocurrency. All took their root from the area of cryptography. So over the years, this we have had, and there are these things, symmetric encryption, just like after you have different of them, DES, triple DEM, RC4, asymmetric algorithm, you talk of RSC, you talk of Diffie-Hellman and all the rest, and what do you call it? There is another one. There are many of them, and over the years now, we now have what we call the quantum cryptography, because very soon we are believing that, though in a laboratory format, that quantum computing will be something that will make use of. And you have the elliptical cryptography. So all this comes under asymmetric cryptography, and you have cryptographic hash function that for integrity check, and you have SHA-1, SHA-2, SHA-3. All these have been what is on. And entropy is the foundation upon which all the cryptography are based. And when you talk of entropy, you talk of entropy, the measurement of random and diversity of data generating function. And that took its root from the information theory that many of us learned. So let's look at the intersection. The intersection of data and system in cyberspace. You can see data there, you can see the system, you can see the human, you can see the cyberspace in the middle. And then let's look at intersection of system and human in cyberspace. You can see it there also. You can see the corner, that is the intersection. All of them, there are intersections. And now let's come to starting your research in cybersecurity. Bam! Initial question process. What is your question? What do you want to do? There are different areas of research. Number one, research question, initiation of research process, research progression, observational research. What type of research do you want to do? How do you want to go about it? These are some of the issues we look at. And method of observation. Is it, do you want to use exploratory study? Do you want to use descriptive method? Do you want to use machine learning approach? All these, do you want to go by experimental research, theoretical research, or applied research? All these are very, very relevant, and all this we make use of in the field of cybersecurity, depending on the area you are working area. And that's why when people look at cybersecurity is a very wide area. It gives room to everybody. And let me make it very clear. For you to be successful in cybersecurity, your background does not have to be science-based. The background does not have to be technology-based. Your background can actually be in the area of humanities. It can be in the area of social sciences. You will still find your space in the field of cybersecurity research, depending on what you want to do. You will find your space. For instance, you don't have to be information risk management. If you want to do research there, you don't have to be core technology something. You want to do in the case of a cyber law, cyber crime activity, it may not necessarily be in the distance. But if you want to be in the core area of cryptography, intrusion detection, and all the rest, intrusion detection, penetration testing, you may be talking of core area of science. So everybody has his place in research in cybersecurity. And that's why if you are here this afternoon, it doesn't matter your background, it doesn't matter which area what kind of the program degree you studied, you can still find a space for yourself in cybersecurity. And there are two approaches. It's in research. You can observe, theorize, and experiment. That's how we teach research. But our research is in the real world. It's interwoven from engineer. You can engineer research to theorize, to experiment, to observe, everything. You can go from engineering to experiment and vice versa. You can go from observe to theorize. You can go from experiment to theorize. You can go from theorize to experiment. So all these are available in the field of cybersecurity. And one thing that has become very interesting today, you begin to talk of cognitive cybersecurity, the idea of machine learning. Machine learning has now come to the central stage, helping researchers in cybersecurity. And what is machine learning? Machine learning is a computational process to discover the underlying models of a system behavior. Machine learning takes data sets, process them, and attempt to discover causal variable. And the machine learning field has grown over the years. And it grew out of the traditional statistics that we studied in those days, and artificial intelligence community. And mega corporations such as Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Twitter, Amazon, they have now, and so on. Machine learning has become very important to them now that you make use of today. And there are two dimensions that we normally have in machine learning: the process by which the system learns and the type of output it attempts to solve. These are the two dimensions of a machine learning approach. And for the first, machine learning based solution strategy can be broadly classified into three categories based on the mechanism of this thing: supervised learning, semi-supervised learning, unsupervised learning. All these are things we make use of in cybersecurity today in the research. So when you want to take research in cybersecurity, you can, machine learning, if you are very good in machine learning, it can be very useful to you, it can be very useful to you. You talk of, for machine learning, algorithm can be broken down into 4 categories: classification, clustering, regression, and anomaly detection. All this we do in cybersecurity. And how do you do debugging the machine learning? We talk of Bayesian network, which is something all of us are very familiar with in those days. Mathematical preliminaries of model. It has its strengths and weaknesses as well, the strength and the limitations. The model dependence among rank order, a cyclic graph, allow probability interference, and all the rest. So every one of them has their weaknesses and strengths, and they have their useful period and whatever. So it's very important we are cognizant of what to use and what not to use at a particular point in time. And you have the idea of ED markup models that we are using in us also in cybersecurity today. We make use of them. The process can be discrete, can be this thing, like the issue of tossing the coin or die, or continuous. Also, it can be continuous as well. So all these are things that are available for us to use. And in cybersecurity as well, we have mathematical research. I mean, you have theories. For instance, when I was at undergraduate, there was a course they used to teach us in in mathematics. We call it the group theory. In those days, we were saying abstract algebra. So to say, in those days, we were saying, this course, what is the relevance to human existence? How is it useful? But in the late 90s and 2000 to 2001, when I was undergoing my PhD in the field of cryptography, I was working on elliptic curve cryptography, and I discovered that, okay, in elliptic curve, when you take points on the space, when you add them together, the top space must be there. When you take a point on the space, the inverse of that point must be in that space. Then there must be an identity point in that space that it doesn't really have this thing. When you add anything or multiply anything by that identity point, it doesn't change it. And all of a sudden, it came to me that what I was actually talking about was group theory. And where is group theory? Group theory is even in the area of pure mathematics. And in those days, we were thinking that there's no area where pure mathematics is useful. But lo and behold, at PhD level, I discovered that it was not a waste, that group theory is very relevant to mathematics. And cryptography is very, very relevant today in daily existence. And it's something that if you know, you are there. And before you know it, you are up there, because few people are there. But those who are there, if you know it, you'll be very useful, and it will help you, and you can take research there. And you need the knowledge. Issues like information theory, just like I told you the other time, that's where you get the idea of entropy, the formal model, cryptography, cryptanalysis, cryptology. They have strong mathematical basis that we make use of, and we make use of them in this thing. Now, well, there are challenges in development of cybersecurity science theory. Similar to the cybersecurity experimentation, progress in the development of advanced generical theory is stagnant. It has not been very progressive as it is, but we are making progress. And there are optional processes: identify instance, determine relevant factors, and test for consistencies. These are some of the progress we are making. And there is also the idea of simulation. I mean, simulation is a computer process of application that imitates the physical process. It's also another approach in cybersecurity, because it's not every situation you can get the real life event to experiment. Agent-based simulation, use model of agent that operate independently. You have the issue of, you may not be able to get enough data. Then that's where issues like Monte Carlo technique, Monte Carlo simulation come handy in this area. These are other areas of also area of research that can be of help in the research in cyber security. We have experimental research, which we call the hypothetical deductive research. Purpose of hypothesis. We use hypothesis in this, and in general, hypothetical research is good for eliminating reinforcing prior knowledge about a system. Maybe you have a prior knowledge, you want to reinforce it, or you want to debug it, and it serves different purpose for acquisition than observational studies. And you have quasi-experimental research, and which are experiment with more independent variables. All these are available. And you have applied research method. For instance, you applied cryptography, applied this, applied that. Even the theory of cryptography, you must be able to have applied theory, and you have developing solution, understanding problem of system behavior. That this is what is this in? Okay, this is what you have learned. How do you bring it to the real life situation? All these are applied research method in this thing. Then you have instrumentation. The first also, in science, we make use of implementation. That is the first and most important scientific instrumentation is fully understanding the information needed to answer research questions. You must understand the information needed, and you must have that information. Otherwise, you will be parabolating. Understanding what information is needed, the first, defining it. There are quite a lot of things. And there are attributes of data that should be reviewed when developing instrumentation for your research. The fidelity, how accurate is a sensor is representing. What type of data do you need to collect? Host-based sensor are sensors that run the instrument of cyber device. These are some of the things, and there are network-based sensors. All these are very crucial in research, and you must understand your data needs. Physical sensor, honeypot, centralized collector. Which one do you need? Which one is relevant to your research? All these must be determined, and you can see like this now. Look at cybersecurity domains. Like I said the other time, there are a lot of things in cybersecurity. You can see the cybersecurity domain at the center, and you can see a lot of things that surround it. And that is why I said there is room for everybody in the field of cybersecurity. Look at it. Framework standard, from threat intelligence. Under threat intelligence alone, you have external, internal, contextual, IOC, intelligence sharing, and all the rest. Look at career development in this thing. Training, certification, conferences, peer group, and all this thing. All these are there, and you can have physical security that is standing alone. You can have the issue of governance. When you talk of governance, like I said, you don't have to be a science-based man. When you talk of governance, if you want to do research, take a career or do research in cybersecurity, you have laws. Under that, you have laws and regulations. That's why you have the standards, the ISO standard. So 27,001, rather. You have the laws, regulations, executive management involvement, company review, supervisory, policy, procedure, standard, guidelines. That is enough area of research that you don't have to be even science-based. You can be there. You have the issue of cryptography, like I mentioned. Then you'll be talking of issues of which is under what we call the security engineering. Cryptography, system integration, and coincidentally, that cryptography is the major area I specialized on about say 22 years ago. And thereafter, I've moved to information security management to see how all of them interwoven. System integration is another, secure application development, network design, data protection, federated identity, cloud security, access control, security architecture, identity management, privileged access management, identity access management. And these are the areas very, very, very technical. For you to go to this type of area, you may need a little bit of a science background, computer background, that you must, that is very area that, this area is very technical. So you can have the user education, training, awareness. That may be your own. I mean, some people train awareness. That's what they do. That area is also this thing. You can have the area of security operations. That's where you'll be talking of security operations. You talk of protection, you talk of detection, you talk of active defense, that is the network defense, data leakage, incident response, investigation, forensics, eradication, containment, breach notification, vulnerability management, so prevention, all this. And you can say data recovery, business continuity, all this and this. This one is a little bit of both technical and management. The two come together under this one. You can see when you see cybersecurity domain, it's wide. So you can decide to take your research in any of this area. It's wide. It's not limited. It's not stereotyped. It's not as people want to believe, before you can go to cybersecurity, it must be in this area. No. Yeah, you can say, this area is more popular, or these people are going to this area. Yeah, it depends. But the truth of the matter is that cybersecurity domain is very, very, very wide. There is room for everybody, and you can be part of the domain development. And for instance, when you talk of, let's look at web deep and this thing. Some of the things we do today, you see, when you want to do research, you say we search the net, but the truth of the matter is that today, what many of us are used to is the issue of surface web, and it's just 5% of the web services, of web materials, while the remaining 95% reside in the deep and the dark web. And where are the deep and the dark web? The deep web is the cloud storage, patent data, research articles, legal documents, and financial records. Why the dark web is where dark web, onion site, hidden marketplaces, anonymous journalism, and all the rest. How many of us are deep into the research in this area? And this is something, today I want to tell you, we say data is the most expensive thing in the world, not even oil. Data is the most expensive. Where do they get this data? All your data they collect, where are they stored? Where are they hidden? What do they do with them? These are questions, questions, and questions. So let's look at, because we want to look at also development in the global security trend. Then global security, cybersecurity trends, the next wave. Where are we? Where are we going to? Recent studies have revealed three major things. There's great threat to national security. Web espionage becomes increasingly advanced, moving curiosity, increasing length to online services, emergence of sophisticated market for software flaws. Mischievous activity in cyberspace have expanded from novice geeks to organized criminal gangs that are going high-tech. And let me tell you, nations are involved. But the truth of the matter is that when nations are involved, they make use of non-state actors working on behalf of the state actors, so that they can, that's why you have a lot of deniers. And when we had this, research was continuing in the field of cyber security, because number one, there is growing threat to national security. I mean, national security, from national security to world security. There is increasing threat to online services. And there is emergence of sophisticated market for software flaws that can be used to carry out espionage, attacks on government, critical infrastructure. And fortunately or unfortunately, the world critical infrastructures now are leveraged on IT. We are moved from smart home to smart city to connected world. So the world is connected, and the attack can come from anywhere, go to anywhere. So, and sophisticated critical infrastructure. You remember there was this discussion a few years ago of Boeing 777 when there was something like a crash. People thought it was software driven, maybe error in the software, whatever. That means even a line of code will cause calamity in the whole world, will cause human calamity, will cause calamity to a number of people. So all this, there's need for ongoing research in the field of cybersecurity. Attacks today are automated. Don't ever think it is some dudes go sitting down there and attacking you. No, attacks now have become automated. It is not just sitting at his hacker desk all the day trying to ping command to address. No. It has been automated. So this is another challenge that requires a lot of research. Attacks have been automated. So going on as this thing. And what you have, you can see. You do it back here. You have your weapon there. But look at the cybersecurity there. Sitting down here. Sitting at one corner. Doing more damage than this big warrior. Like I said, in those days, when we were growing up, when armed robbers came, they would say, okay, bring your money. They point gun at your head, 20,000, whichever one, 10,000, whatever. But today, with somebody sitting in a corner of his room with his computer, they can move millions or billions of naira or ruby or what do we call it, or dollars from your account without any pointing gun, without anything, before you know it. So there is a paradigm shift in the way crimes are being committed. And these crimes being committed are being committed with the help of digital equipment. But the good thing is that, like I normally say, the technology available for committing this crime is also available for fishing the perpetrators out. So, and that's why cybersecurity, like some years ago when I gave inaugural lecture, I said securing the world in digital age, the metaphor of an unending game. Cybersecurity is a metaphoric game between attackers and defenders. It's a metaphoric game between attackers and defenders. And it is the one that has upper hand that will be able to come top. And the truth of the matter is that for both, researches are going on from both sides. And that is why the cybersecurity experts must not sleep, because just like the criminals don't sleep, then the experts to curtail the activities of criminals must equally not sleep. These are some of the things that these things are going on. And you can see what does cybersecurity this thing look like. You can see all of them, everybody doing one thing or the other, carrying out one form of agenda or the other. You can see them. There are 10 cybersecurity to watch out this year. As I begin to round up, I'll soon be rounding up 10 cybersecurity trends to watch out this year. Rise in automotive hacking. Modern vehicles nowadays are packed with automotive software, creating seamless connectivity for drivers in cruise control, engine timing, door lock. That's why if you want somebody, if you buy something from online, somebody you can remotely open the boot of your car and they drop it. And these are come with attendant challenges. And these vehicles now use Bluetooth, they use Wi-Fi technologies that also open them to several vulnerabilities or hacker gaining control. Or the self-driving automotive use further complex mechanism. This is a challenge coming up, and it's a real challenge where a lot of researchers have to focus on. Not only that, potentials of artificial intelligence. With AI being introduced in the market, this technology with combination of machine learning has brought tremendous changes in cybersecurity. That's what brought about cognitive cybersecurity. It has been paramount in building an automated security system, natural language processing, face detection, and all the rest. So AI-enabled threat system can predict new attacks and notify admins for any data breach. And that is one area which researchers should work on so that we can begin to do this thing. Mobile is the new target. Cybersecurity provides a considerable increase, 50% for mobile banking. You know, just in Nigeria now, there's something going on, the cashless economy. And when you talk of cashless economy, it comes with attendant challenges. So we should be getting ready all our photos now, financial transaction, emails, and messages processed, more threats, individuals, smartphones, everything is there. Everybody is on the net. I mean, we're in the borderless world. Nothing is safe. Everybody is open. Everybody is naked. Everybody is naked. Naked in code. I mean, everything, even what your parents, what your husband, what your wife does not know about you, is on your mobile. So with it being hacked, it poses a lot of challenge. Cloud is also a potential vulnerable. I mean, store a lot of data in the cloud. With more and more organizations now establishing in the cloud, there's need for research on how to make the cloud more secure. Although cloud applications such as Google are well equipped with security from their end, it is still the user that acts as a single source of erroneous and this thing. And no matter how secure you feel, in cybersecurity, we don't say whether you'll be attacked. What we ask is that when you attack, because we know attack will come, because attack is always coming. Data breaches, prime target, data will continue to be leading concern for many organizations around the world, whether it be for individual organization. Any minor flaw or bug in your browser or software potential vulnerability account, they lash on it. And new strict measure general GDPR was enforced in 2020 offering data protection, similar for this thing, but at the same time, everything, not only the law, but researches can continue. Automation and integration with the size of data multiplying every day, it is evident that automation is very necessary. Modern attacks, security measure, large complex system, all these are very important. IoT with 5G technology, Internet of Things. You know, we're in the era of cyber physical system. With the advent of 5G, the new era of interconnectivity will become reality. Faster, everything, this communication between multiple devices, every step of 5G might bring plethora of network attacks. We should be prepared. There should be research. The research that should be going on, which I'm part of it, I've also keen to it on the issue of 5G technology should not be taken very lightly, because the 5G is going to change a lot of things and is going to bring a lot of attendant security challenges. So researches should be going on briefly there. Targeted ransomware, that is another important is that especially in the developed nations, industries, this ransomware target more focus as WannaCry and all the rest, medical devices and all the rest. It's another area we should do this thing. State-sponsored cyber war. Oh, yeah, like I said, state-sponsored. There won't be stopping. Tension between US, Iran, all of them are this thing, and other countries will kill, even including Russia. So there will be space-sponsored cyber war. And unfortunately, they make use of non-state actors. So at times it's difficult them to pin them down. But we know many non-state actors, they are sponsored by state actors or state insider threat. Human error is one of the primary reasons. Like I mentioned, anybody on intentional loophole can bring down an organization. And that is why research has to continue also in this area. So with all these are just the development coming up we should be prepared for as we enter year 2023 and begin to do research, making use of mathematical theory, making use of artificial intelligence, making use of machine learning, making use of other tools in the field that are available to carry out research so that we keep our head up in the field of cybersecurity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me stop here and expect your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I think this was amazing because you covered literally everything that is to do with cybersecurity and research and academics. And I think we have heard all this, the keywords that is required for any academic or any institution to know to even get into cybersecurity research in depth. So I would really like to this was an amazing session. We'll just come to the questions. The question that has been posed is that is data protection taught in cybersecurity curriculum? How can it be complied with in academics? This is the question.
Yeah, yes, it's taught in academic environment, and it may not be taught directly. When you talk of data governance, it could be taught under topics like data governance, but it's taught, it's in the curriculum. For instance, it's in our curriculum. So how can it be complied with academics? Well, it has to be complied with in academics because the issue of policy, when you talk of issue of policy, and it starts with policy, when you have the policy in place, then the policy has to be complied with. It has to be enforced, not only in academics, even nationally within a country. I remember, you know, every country now you have cybersecurity framework, cybersecurity policy, and in which data governance is always part of the policy. But to answer your question directly, it is taught. It's not under normal circumstances. Any good cybersecurity academic curriculum, data protection is taught there. Though it may not be called data protection directly, but it could be taught under so many topics, the issue of data governance and all the rest. It could be taught under those things. So it's there. Thank you. Does that answer the question?
I think yes. I would also want the attendees to type their questions if they have any. There is another question, which is how can we practically apply these concepts?
Well, these concepts, they are not theoretical. We can practically apply them. The first thing is that you must identify which area of cybersecurity you want to operate. Mm-hmm. 2, know the appropriate place, either for you to do your research with facilities. And when you know the area will determine the kind of a place where you have both human and material resources. And you can begin to carry out your research, apply the concept. And let me tell you, cybersecurity has permeated every aspect of the society. There is no aspect of the society. Is it the transport industry? Is it the energy industry? The financial sector? Is it the airline industry? Talk of any sector. Cybersecurity is there. I don't want to talk about military and defense because it has been there. In fact, it has taken over military and defense. It has taken over military and defense because nowadays it is not the kind of weapon that you have. It all depends on your cyber power, which also has to do with intelligence, because cybersecurity also has to do with intelligence, because you can be so powerful and everything can be demobilized within seconds with cyber power. So you can apply all these concepts in every sector of life. Is it in the health sector? It's applied in the health sector, in government circle. Which industry? There's no industry. In those days, cybersecurity expert used to be under the IT, but today, every big organization or an average big organization has a cybersecurity department different from the IT department. And we wish there are different roles for cybersecurity experts in such organizations. So they can be applied, the concept applicable in everywhere. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think that answers the question. There is another question that is quantum computing a reality today?
Not fully a reality, but it's going to be a reality because I've also been involved in quantum computing. I teach it, and I know about quantum cryptography. The theory is in the lab. It's in the lab, but it's going to come to the public one day, and probably very soon. So it's a reality. It's a reality. It's a reality. And being a reality means that there is a new challenge, most especially in the area of cryptography. And that's where you have the idea of quantum cryptography, which you have even now moved to post-quantum cryptography today. So it's a reality. It's just there. It has come. But it has not come in full blown. It has not come in commercial quantity. That's what we can say, but it's a reality when it comes to being in the lab or being available.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of development that is happening there, and there is a lot of stuff to fear as well. Now, with this particular discussion, I think you did mention about the military concept and the cyber war that is happening, and it cannot be segregated. Military cannot be segregated from civil use because it's all the same now. So there is another question that actually relates to this aspect as well as the broader aspect, I would say. So starting off with the first question, that is, what is the role of culture in cybersecurity? According to your experience and also what you,
Yes. This one now comes in under policies, ethics, and legal environment. Culture is very important. For instance, let's look at an example. Certain things that are considered as crime in Africa are not considered, or even in US are not considered as crime, probably in a place like China. So culture also, for instance, maybe the issue of hacking, what do we call it? The issue of what do we call it? Piracy. There is a debate. Intellectual property. Are you getting my point? Mm-hmm. There are debates. That is where the issue of culture comes in. And that is why when it comes to cybercrime, it's major. And that's why it brings conflicts between two nations. So culture plays a role, a certain level of role, when it comes to policies, when it comes to ethics in the area of cybersecurity.
How will you relate it to your experience, sir? Because I think I think we have had these kind of discussions before. So in terms of building a culture of cybersecurity at, for example, an institutional level, what should the role of a professor or an academic be?
Yeah, when it comes to culture in every environment, in the academic environment, we must dish it out the way it is. Let me give you an example. In cybersecurity, there are people regulating body, the ACM, the IEEE Computer Society, those are the people. And there's something we normally say, like when my students come in 100 level, I teach them the 10 commandments of IT. And when you know the 10 commandments, it doesn't matter where you are from. There are certain rules, there are certain boundaries you must not break. There are certain things you must not do. There are things you must do in the field of cybersecurity. So in academic environment, we teach it raw, what you are supposed to do, what you are not supposed to do. But when state actors are involved, because they know they are playing politics, playing games, there's something we call cyber politics. I mean, all these things, there's something we call cyber politics. Then when it comes to that, that's at nation level. But when it comes to the issue of really in the academic sector, I think we should dish it out the way it is, telling them the do's and the don'ts. Let me give you an example. Some people will say ethical hacker, ethical hacker. Yes, there is ethical hacking. But before you can say you're an ethical hacker, you must have been employed by an organization for you to be able to carry out either pen testing or hacking there. Let me give you an example. For instance, if you say, oh, somebody knocks at your door at the middle of the night, he's trying to open your door, and all of a sudden, you apprehend the person, and you say, why are you trying to open my door? And he tells you, oh, sorry, I'm just checking whether you lock your door. At what point did you appoint that person as your security guard or security man? That is, it's a crime. So when you say you're ethical hacker and somebody, you begin to carry out vulnerability scan, penetration testing on somebody's this thing without authorization, it's a crime, irrespective of the motive. Irrespective of the motive behind it. So it's very important that we know all these things.
And that's a very good
Thank you very much.
The next question, I think, is also really important. That how to transform a cybercrime economy to a cybersecurity economy. This also comes from the fact, sir, that there are many cybercrime startups. So they are the ones who actually employ these people to hack. And how do you transform this cybercrime economy to a cybersecurity one?
Yeah, it's just there is a thin line between them. Employing them to hack, to transfer it to economy is that before you employ somebody to hack, you must employ them to hack, to work for your organization relative to your organization, not another organization. And that's why, for instance, now, if our institution want to employ ethical hacker, we can employ people, okay, go begin to carry out vulnerability scan on our infrastructure to see whether there are loopholes, to see whether there are vulnerabilities, to see where we are susceptible to attack. Then you are creating a cyber security economy. But when you employ them to attack another person, you are creating a cyber crime economy. So you can actually turn this thing, there is a thin line between them, but you can make use of the positive aspect of it and turn them, or the negative, turn it to the positive. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think there was a very nice discussion that we were having in another event that was organized yesterday on ethics. And there was one question that came up that do we need to give an oath to, uphold ethics in whatever work we do? Now, everybody gives oath, everybody takes oath, and not only doctors, but also prime minister, presidents, and all when they take up some important position. So that was a very nice thing that was asked. I think upholding the 10 commandments, as you said, is the way to uphold ethics. And another question that comes up is how can we empower students to think responsibly and ethically? I think this is very much to follow up with the previous one.
Yeah, it's very important because like I told you when I started, when I take in my first year student into this thing, before I teach them any cybersecurity course, the first thing I teach them is ethics of the profession. And it's a semester course. I mean, ethics of the profession. From the beginning, you are taking through the do's and the don'ts of the profession, just like the medical profession, just like the law profession. There are things you do, there are things you don't do. And once you inculcate those things into their brain, that these are the things, you go out of it, you're in trouble. It's just like a military man or somebody being trained as a military man or somebody being trained as a policeman. They give you the don'ts and the don'ts. For instance, when you are being trained, they train you how to shoot gun. But you must know that as a military man, you should not turn the gun against the citizen. The same way, all the facilities available, the tools available in the cybersecurity industry, you teach the student. But the truth of the matter is that they must use it for the good of the society.
That's a very valid point. I think I did hear a story that said that, the professors used to earlier start teaching, starting actually with an oath. They used to impart knowledge, because knowledge can be used either ways. It can be used for destruction, or it can be used for the betterment of society.
Because the reason is that as a cybersecurity expert, I'm expected to teach my students everything, what they need Even the cybersecurity students, they must know it's just like a policeman. You must teach a policeman how to shoot a gun. So the same way, you must teach the students penetration testing, ethical hacking, cryptography, all the rest. But one thing, the difference now, the baseline is that the first thing you must teach them is the ethics. This thing we are teaching you to use it for the protection of the society, not for attack of the society.
Correct. That's a very nice way of putting it, sir. It's a really nice answer. There is one more question, which is how can we leverage cross-border academic collaboration for better cybersecurity? How do you?
Yes, it's very important. Just like we are doing now. You are in India. I'm in Nigeria. I can see some attendees. There's somebody from US. I think there's somebody from Canada now. Everybody, we are here. I don't know how many other people are attending, but the truth of the matter is that there is need for collaboration because, like I said, a cybersecurity expert is not a citizen of any country, it's a citizen of the world because we are not operating relative to any country. We are talking relatively, we are operating relative to the entire world space. So there has to be a collaboration, and that will help the world at large. Because I told you about geopolitics, the cyber geopolitics. I told you about the law, cyber law, law from country to country. So all these things we have to come together, regulating in such a way that there is no loophole. That is when you commit a crime, you sit down in Nigeria, you commit a crime, then you know. If you commit it, because it's very in cybersecurity, you can be in Nigeria, be committing the crime against the United States. You can be in India, be committing the crime against Nigeria. So there has to be a meeting point that okay, we know a crime is a crime, and there has to be synergy among academics in the world, not only academic, even government.
Absolutely. I think this cross-border collaboration is something that is required today to strengthen diplomacy and what we call even cyber diplomacy. So that's what we are doing today. Really happy for this. There is one more question that has come up, that is machine learning is being used to identify malicious behavior, but is it the ultimate solution? Yeah.
Yeah, the question is that in cybersecurity, we don't say something is the ultimate solution. We don't use that language in cybersecurity. Because what you call ultimate today, you just discover in the next 24 hours is no more ultimate, but it's part of the solution. It's a very useful tool in the malicious something, but at the same time, it's very good today. It's useful, it produces a result, but we cannot say it is the total ultimate because tomorrow another thing might come up that will divide. And there are so many aspects, there are too many algorithms, depending on the situation, depending on that with the kind of work you are doing, it all depends. And at the end of the day, when you identify, yeah, some are useful for one, some are useful for the other one. But the truth of the matter, today, as of today, very good, working perfectly, excellent. But to say is the ultimate, no. Ultimate, there's no language like that in cybersecurity.
I think there is one more question, so that comes up related to ChatGPT. I think this is really, it's kind of revolutionizing the way, I would say disrupting the way educational institutions even function. And the entire route learning and, examining methodology also is being kind of disrupted. How do you see the future in terms of cybersecurity? Because there's a lot of integrity that is required here, and ChatGPT is somewhere compromising the integrity, don't you think? What are your views on this?
I think to a certain extent, because the way we are going, yeah, it's still being managed to a large extent, but the problem has started to emerge. But if it's not properly managed, it can be a major problem in the nearest future. So that's one of the areas where research has to focus on.
Absolutely. That's something that we need to focus on collaboratively. And with this, I think there are no more questions. Okay, there is one more. Okay, this is answered. So I think all the questions, so it was to the point and really brief answer that really answered the question. So, and it was an amazing presentation and the discussion that we had. We gained a lot of insight. What we from Cyber Diplomat look forward is to collaborating on certain research, like you mentioned, and for strengthening this collaboration and diplomacy. so that we can do something really good for the society, so that the society progresses and benefits from the security economy and the job creation in this particular area. I would really like to thank you for taking the time and
It's a pleasure.
for this particular lecture. And to the attendees, thank you so much for registering and for attending this particular program, and for making the Q&A session so interactive and nice with the amazing questions that was given. I really want to thank you all. And with
Thank you.
this, I think I have to end this session. So I'll stop the
Thank you.
recording. Yes.